Welcome to the start of Side 2, and now we return to local news with Joan, who is going to start with sport.
Rugby. Weakened Enfield failed to score. Ignatians slump to heavy haberdashers' defeat. Enfield Ignatians suffered a 27-0 defeat at Old Haberdashers in London 2 Northwest on Saturday. The under-strength visitors certainly put themselves about, and although they tackled manfully throughout, struggled to get on the front foot against a very well-drilled Old Haberdashers side, which hit the blue and golds for 4 tries. 2 of these were scored in the first half and were executed in textbook fashion from successful catch and drives from the line-out. Although Ignatians were reduced to 14 men on the second score after having Richard Lawrence sin-binned. The number 8 copped his temporary banishment after Ignatians had infringed once too often at the breakdown, but in many other respects, the back rower, the author of some forceful carries, had an excellent game. Ignatians struggled to get on to the front foot and impose their patterns of play, playing the conditions. They played far better. The home side also tucked away a penalty from in front of the post to lead 13-0 at the interval. Although outgunned, Ignatians tried hard to get back in the game. They emptied their bench with Steve Taylor, Dutch recruit Piers Horgan, and Carl Asair Anderson, all thrown into the fray. But even when they got in the red zone, they failed to make inroads. The more clinical Old Haberdashers wrapped up the bonus point by scoring a further 2 tries. However, Ignatians can certainly feel aggrieved on the last score as the ball was spilled over the line. Both touchdowns were converted from wide. The game went on to uncontested scrums in the last 10 minutes as a result of the sin-binning of Tom Killy for coming in at the side. Coach Ali Cook said, "There are lots of areas still to work on before the next league game against Harpenden."
Callum Wilkinson stormed to victory at the 89th Enfield Open 7-mile event with a record-winning time. The Enfield and Haringey race walker finished first at Lee Valley Athletic Centre on Saturday. Wilkinson started his university course this autumn, and the performance suggests the teenager is still in a class of his own. In 2013, aged 16, Wilkinson was the youngest winner of the event, but disappointed with his time of 57.46 and vowed to do better. He certainly kept his promise to surpass it, and on this occasion stopped the clock at 47.28 seconds, which is the fastest ever winning time in the long history of the competition. Dominic and Daniel King pushed the 18-year-old race walker early on, but with their training aimed at 50k, did not have the edge. Wilkinson tweeted, "Really pleased with today's race, 47.28 for 7 miles and taking the win. Great end to 2015, #Team Wilkinson."
Enfield Town were knocked out of the FA Trophy after a disappointing 2-0 home defeat to Thamesmead Town on Saturday. Brad Quinton's side went into the game optimistic of a run in the competition, but produced a below-par performance as they exited their second cup in the space of a month. The hosts got off to a terrible start when they conceded the opening goal early on. Visiting captain Derek Duncan struck a powerful shot which gave goalkeeper Nathan MacDonald no chance. It was a setback for the Towners, as the pre-match favourites were handed an uphill task against their Ryman Division 1 North opponents. Enfield were struggling to find their fluency, although the hosts felt they had claims for a penalty for handball, but the referee was unmoved. Thamesmead keeper Andy Walker was called into action when he was forced to dive at the feet of Bobby Devine at the home side pushed for an equaliser. The visitors were still a threat on the break, and Duncan attempted to score again, but his effort flew high and wide of the McDonald's goal. Town had the final opportunity of the half, but Walker proved alert enough to keep out Nathan Living's effort. Quinton brought on Harry Ottaway in place of Tyler Campbell at the start of the second half in a bid to spark a fight back from the Towners, but it was increasingly difficult for the hosts to break down their opponents. Enfield did create a big chance to level the tie when Michael Azea fouled Corey Whiteley in the area after an hour, but the Towners wasted the opportunity as Devine's penalty smashed against the post. This proved costly, and Thamesmead doubled their lead on the 70-minute mark. Paul Vines pounced to tuck away a loose ball and the second goal, but the visitors were in a commanding position at the Queen Elizabeth II Stadium. Claudiu Vilciu was thrown up into an attacking position as Enfield desperately searched for a way back into the contest. Livings fired his effort over the crossbar, but it was increasingly looking like it was not going to be their day. Substitute Ottaway had a chance to pull one back, but his effort was saved by Walker. It proved to be Enfield's final effort at the match, as the Towners suffered a disappointing exit at the second qualifying round stage. Quinton will want his side to put their FA Trophy loss quickly behind them as they turn their attention back to the Ryman Premier Division. The Towners travel to 10th placed Grays Athletic this Saturday as they continue their bid to climb the table.
Here we have Help Refugees appealing with a whole lot of information made by Dr. Edie Friedman. Media coverage of the ongoing refugee crisis may be diminishing, but the reality is that it remains very much with us, and with the onset of winter, could be about to get much worse. With many coming together to help refugees and asylum seekers for Mitzvah Day, the UK's biggest faith-based day of social action on November the 22nd, now is a good time to remind ourselves of some of the background. The biggest driver of this crisis, the civil war in Syria, is now in its 4th year. More than 11 million people have become displaced, including 4 million refugees. More than 250,000 people have been killed. But statistics can conceal the human reality behind our numbers. It took the death of one little boy, Alan Kurdi, to change our perception and hence our attitude towards this crisis, which many are calling the worst since the Second World War. As a result, a number of things have happened. The biggest change is that the UK government has agreed to take up to 20,000 Syrian refugees over a period of 5 years from refugee camps in Turkey, Jordan and Lebanon, prioritizing women and children and the most vulnerable. But what can ordinary people do? If you're reading this and keen to help, how can you act? One of the main difficulties in answering this is that, to date, none of the expected 20,000 Syrian refugees have actually arrived in Britain. The latest report says that 1,000 will arrive by Christmas. But even in the absence of new refugees arriving in Britain, there are plenty of things people can do. Mitzvah Day and J-Core, the Jewish Council for Racial Equality, are two organizations involved in supporting refugees. Mitzvah Day, through facilitating huge collections of vital necessities for asylum seekers and refugees, and J-Core through campaigning and awareness raising. Firstly, with regard to the immediate crisis, people can refer to the website www.supportrefugees.org.uk to find out how they can assist refugees in places like Greece and Turkey, as well as closer to home in Calais. It's important to remember that in addition to the people coming, there are already thousands of refugees and asylum seekers here who need support. As asylum seekers are not eligible to work, many are living in a state of destitution. To assist them, do check the above website and find out about befriending, volunteering at a drop in the centre, and campaigning through J-Core against cuts in support to asylum seekers who now receive a mere £36.95 a week on which to live, as well as the work of organisations such as the Refugee Council and Refugee Action. This crisis will be with us for the foreseeable future. It will require our compassion as well as flexibility in dealing with an ever-changing and unpredictable situation. The photojournalist Giles Dewley, in a recent article in The Observer, cogently summed matters up. We can argue about the root causes and the root causes and possible solutions. We can discuss the differences between refugees, asylum seekers, and migrants. We can blame traffickers and smugglers. But the simple truth is that men, women, and children are suffering terribly and dying off the coasts of Europe. And for the sake of humanity alone, we must help them and not turn our backs. Dr. Edie Friedman is founder and director of J-Core, the Jewish Council for Racial Equality.
4 decades have elapsed since little-known Swedish pop group ABBA swept to superstardom with their Eurovision-winning entry, Waterloo. Yet they remain as popular as ever thanks to the countless number of smash hits they produced. All their memorable chart-topping songs will be performed at Williott's Theatre in Potters Bar next Friday, November the 27th, when Waterloo, the Best of ABBA tribute show, comes to the Darks Lane venue on the latest leg of its UK tour. The show looks back at the sensational rise to stardom of Agneta, Bjorn, Benny and Anna Frid and gives fans the opportunity to experience the thrill of a live ABBA show. Although the group broke up in 1982, their music has enjoyed a fresh burst of popularity through various films, with their hits being developed into the stage musical Mamma Mia, which later spawned a blockbuster movie. They have sold more than 380 million albums and singles worldwide, making them the second best-selling music group of all time. James Baker, director, producer of the tribute, said, "Recreating ABBA's music for a live show was a challenge. The sheer enormity of how we could effectively recreate ABBA's unique sound soon became a reality as we sat down and began listening to their huge back catalogue of hits," he said. "We really wanted the audience to experience the sound of a fully live ABBA show while keeping true to the iconic sound of their incredible studio recordings." The spectacular 2-hour show features a live band fronted by 4 performers who look and sound the part in ABBA costumes and with authentic Swedish accents. The instantly recognisable hits come thick and fast, including Waterloo, Fernando, Take a Chance on Me, Mamma Mia, I've Been Waiting for You, Voulez-Vous, The Winner Takes It All, Dancing Queen, Money, 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 and Thank You for the Music. Michelle Cleave as Agneta, Lissy Link as Annafrid, Jules Dodd as Bjorn, and Rob Arnold as Benny were deliberately chosen not as phenomenal lookalikes, but also because they sound identical to the original 4 members of ABBA, added James. Only with those 4 up front, backed by a world-class live band, we believe we have achieved what we set out to, the closest, most authentic tribute to ABBA on the planet.
And now for some more What's On. It's about the Enfield Food Festival, which is at Forty Hall Farm on the Forty Hall estate. It's on the 28th of November from 11 till 6 p.m. or the 29th of November from 11 till 5 p.m. Adults are £7, 12 to 16-year-olds are £5, and under 12s are £3, with a family ticket being £20, 2 adults, 3 children. Good food and fun down on the farm for all the family, it says here. Festive stalls with local produce and street food craft skills and cooking demos, children's food trail and crafts with indoor area, and a full programme with your tickets. You can visit enfieldfoodfest.wordpress.com for more details, or you can visit their Twitter account, which is @EnfieldFoodFest, or follow the hashtag EnfieldFoodFest.
Now you're coming to A Little Music Therapy, a title to a picture of Enfield Community Singers conductor Simon Gilbert standing on a chair, both arms stretched out in a greeting, and he's testing the acoustics in North Middlesex University Hospital atrium. He looks quite happy there. Hope he doesn't fall. Well, the report comes with show-stopping tunes from West End musicals will help make a hospital stay a bit more bearable for some patients while entertaining staff and visitors as well. A special free lunchtime public concert is being held in the main atrium of North Middlesex University Hospital in Stirling Way, Edmonton, tomorrow by Enfield Community Singers. In addition to a repertoire of popular musical hits, including No Business Like Show Business and Edelweiss, they will also perform a medley of sing-along songs from the 1960s. It is the latest in the hospital's Art in the Atrium program of live performances, adding enjoyment to the experience of patients, staff, and visitors. The Art in the Atrium events are an incredibly popular feature of our hospital's list and bring welcome lunchtime enjoyment to our patients and hard-working staff, said Hospital Trust Chairman John Carrier. We are always looking for new performing talent to take part and have hosted the choirs of Wilbury and Raynham Primary Schools in Edmonton, as well as singers and musicians from among the hospital's 3,000 staff. Enfield Community Singers leader Simon Gilbert said the choir was really looking forward to performing and described the atrium as a great space with great acoustics.
Campaigners have called on the council to preserve the Greenbelt or face Enfield becoming a dormitory borough. Those living on Cotswold Way, Lowther Drive and Enfield Road spoke at full council last Wednesday against Fairview housing plans to build hundreds of new homes and an 8-form secondary school on Greenbelt land. The council by Enfield Road Watch triggered a debate at the meeting after generating more than 4,000 signatures on an online petition. Ian D'Souza, leader of the group, said developing on the land would see Enfield become a dormitory borough and the borough will lose its character. According to the group, Fairview has chosen Church of England Secondary Wren Academy to provide the school. The land is owned by the Diocese of London, who entered into an agreement with Fairview Homes in 2010 to manage the land on their behalf. Mr. D'Souza said, "You must take head of the 4,500 signatures for those who defiantly oppose this." The campaigner added, "There is no justification for building on the site," adding, "The area is not deficient in school places or houses." Councillor Glynis Vince supported the campaign and said, "We need to make a stand. Developing on the Greenbelt is sacrosanct. This would be the beginning of the end." Despite opposition, leader of the council, Councillor Doug Taylor, said nothing could be decided at the full council meeting. He said, "We are not the sponsors of this application. I do not influence any planning committee members. Views from those who have brought forward the petition will need to be taken into consideration." Councillor Yasmin Brett said she would be watching this application like a hawk and promoted Enfield as a green space. A plan is set to be submitted from Fairview in the near future.
And I have a letter about that very subject from Peter Gibbs, Chairman of FERA, the Federation of Enfield Residents and Allied Associations. It's entitled Too Much Concrete. Councillor Alan Sitkin launched forth in the Independent to eliminate resistance, even to induce mass depression over the prospects of keeping our Greenbelt. Major housing crisis for borough now inevitable, Enfield Independent on November 4th. Loads more houses and infrastructure, unending concreting over our fair borough. What a council of despair. He speaks of struggling to meet demand, but we know the whole country is failing in this. So what's unique about Enfield that requires us to abandon our protected green heritage? This administration has stated it wants to prevent Enfield from becoming a dormitory borough, where many work elsewhere, depriving our local economy of income and economic stimulus. Fair enough. But how does piling on housing mesh with that? Councillor Sitkin speaks as though Enfield has some obligation to throw its doors open and provide for the masses. We know that inner boroughs pay Enfield to house their overflow. Let's put a stop to that right now. Population should be dispersed, and in fact is dispersing. So high is the cost of housing in London versus other regions. Affordable housing merely delays the process of adjustment. Thinking councillors will realise that the unique qualities of our borough represent a balance that makes for health and induces inward investment. So where is the dividend for anyone in concreting over the green belt? Ah yes, it's the council, because housing pays taxes and open spaces do not. Short-termism to balance the council's sagging books is not stewardship that our successors will laud. We need concrete evidence of exceptional conditions before the green belt is undermined totally.
So there. Now I have a report by Ofsted, who praised a particular school. A school has been praised for its rapid improvement after being rated as requiring improvements a year ago. Enfield Heights Academy has made considerable progress, according to Ofsted, when inspectors visited last month. The school in Pitfield Way was taken over by Cuckoo Hall Academy's Trust last year. The Trust also runs several other schools in the borough. Emma Beckenridge, head teacher of Enfield Heights, and Kingfisher Hall welcomed the news. She said, "This Ofsted monitoring report is a great endorsement of the hard work of everyone here at Enfield Heights. We are very proud of the rapid improvement we have made." Inspectors praise the speed in which the school has improved, in particular their behaviour. The report reads, "Together with senior leaders, you have developed a strong sense of team spirit. As a result, all staff buy into the school's vision and are fully supportive." And it adds, "Senior leaders and governors are taking effective action to tackle the areas requiring improvement. As a result, the pace of improvement in the school has increased."
The government has ignored the advice of the Independent Electoral Commission, and from December the 1st, 415,000 people could drop off the electoral register in London because of changes to the way we register to vote. That is in addition to the 1.2 million people who are not even registered. If you are not on the register, or you are worried that you might drop off, then look at the www.gov.uk/register-to-vote website. It only takes 3 minutes to register. If you are not on the register, then your views will not be heard. In addition, if you are not registered to vote, you might find it hard to get credit or a loan. I would encourage as many people to register to vote by November the 20th to beat the December drop-off deadline. And that's a letter from Caroline Pidgeon, the leader of the Liberal Democrat Group London Assembly.
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of myself, Rod, with Joan,
And Caroline.
it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet, and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with the Talking newspaper, and she can be reached on 0208 805 6578. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.